For the last 2 years, AI has helped us answer questions. And today, OpenAI has crossed the line. We now have AI that is going to help us create knowledge itself. If you don't know who I am, I'm Curious and Terry, and every day I ask myself, what's the future of technology? And I store them in a journal. That journal is my WTF journal, and you are now watching the visual representation of that. Now, what I want to talk about today is OpenAI's new technology known as Prism. Now, for those that don't know, OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGPT. So if you've used ChatGPT, you're familiar with OpenAI and some of their products, and they have more than ChatGPT. They have something known as Prism. Prism is an AI-powered research assistant, and it's also the writing environment. It's built for writing academic papers and scientific papers. It's written LaTeX, so it can actually, be an environment to write LaTeX. It's good for doing citations and automating that. It's great for structured writing and structured reasoning. And this is not ChatGPT, and this is not a plugin. This is not a gem. This is not a GPT. This is an entire workspace. So you think of like how the software world has its own workspace with like Cursor, Claude Code, or Google's anti-gravity. Those are AI plus the IDE or the integrated development environment together so that developers can ship more things faster because they're just embedding the AI right into the tool in the workspace. And that showed us a future where we got applications at an unprecedented rate. Like there's more apps being published in the App Store today than there has been in the entire last few, years, unfortunately. And so we know that that's a fact. If we look at where academia is, this is a big deal because this is not ChatGPT with footnotes. This is AI inside the academic workflow. And so if AI moves from the consumer layer to the institutional layer, I think that research speed increases. I think the barrier to publishing knowledge decreases. I think the non-English language barrier that exists actually starts to subside, and you now have leverage again, and that's all thanks to AI. Now, on the flip side of this, I think the ability to do citation and to do structured work becomes automated. So that becomes an afterthought. And so when AI helps write the science, you basically have to ask yourself who is responsible for the truth. And so if I were to just zoom out, I would say that this is more so the industrialization of thinking, because it's similar to shifts that we've seen before. In the finance world, we had Excel. So when Excel comes, that tool changes everything. When we look at Photoshop, that changed everything about design and brought forth a new era of entirely creating things natively on a computer and not even working with like the graphic designer in the way that you once did. GitHub, it was very transformative to how we ship and produce software. And so you have these tools that exist that basically kind of shift the way that everybody thinks and operates, and I think Prism is going to do that for science and research. They have to land it, they have to resonate with people, but I think that this actually might work because the future of AI isn't in replacing scientists, it's in compressing the distance from idea to impact. And I think if AI helps write the papers, who gets the credit? Who gets funded? How do we decide what's true? How do we decide what brand you kind of ultimately put on this? And I don't think this is a tool story. I think this is a knowledge story. I think knowledge is going to become a lot more accessible. I think that the people that are traditionally seen as higher academia, like your PhD types, they're starting to see the compression of AI, and they're going to feel the impacts. Now, either they adopt it and they accelerate publishing, or we see a lot new entrants in those space that you just wouldn't have had. And so we're going to usher in a whole new era of publications and papers from people that might not have the wherewithal to go to school and stick with it for 5-10 years, or they just have a really creative idea and a hypothesis and they just want to generate a paper, and then they want to give that to someone in academia to test it. And so that person in academia doesn't have to go through and write it. They can just kind of say, okay, I like this, let me collab on it and let me change the bit here and there. With that being said, this is a crazier WTF, and the reason why I did this video today is because, just about 5 days ago, I made a video and I talked about how AI slop is gonna go way beyond social media. And I actually cited academia in that video. It's like, look, you can generate a social media post, you can generate a research paper. Clearly, we were not too far off the marker when literally 5 days later, ChatGPT is releasing their own version of a dedicated workspace known as Prism to help create research papers and academic papers. You can't make this up. So for those that have questions, go ahead, drop them for me in the chat below. And for everyone else, I will catch you in the future.